welcome to another episode of Kevin's Toy Box. This time we have two dinosaur toys to look at, the Lab Lockdown T-Rex and the Extreme Damage Therizinosaurus. The T-Rex was the first Rebirth toy we saw in stock, but we didn't get it because it was overpriced. We only got it now because it was bumped down to a more reasonable price point. But we're gonna start this video by taking a closer look at the Therizinosaurus. We're not gonna spend too much time on it because there's just not that much to say. It's a step up from the first theory that came out, and a downgrade compared to the Hammond Collection. In fact, it basically is just a slight retool of the Hammond Collection theory. Just with a lack of articulation, a bit of resculpting here and there, and a lot of scars because Chaos Theory toys went through some hard times. I mean, I am glad they're still making Theory toys, especially with some new colors that weren't seen in the original movie, and some new fun action features that might even make this better than the original Theory. But compared to both of those theories, the articulation on this one is definitely not as good, as most of it is tied to the action features. But you can pose the hands, so I guess that's a plus. But you do have to be careful because you might accidentally snap off the whole arm with how it's positioned. I mean, you can move the whole arm outward and inward, but that's about it. Legs are on the common ratchet joints, not the incredibly strong ones that we see on certain other figures. And they lack ankle joints, unlike the other two. The most unique part is the tail, as it's not like either of the theories before. The Hammond Collection one has a rat tail, while the original Dominion one had a big floofy tail. This one kinda meets in the middle and makes it even better by having the feathery parts at the tip rubbery, which is like, it's a nice in-between. I like it a lot. Much like the previous Therizinosaurus toy, the action feature is, admittedly, pretty cool. Albeit also like the last one, it's a toy that doesn't know how to shut up. But I can see kids having fun with this one, as it makes for some cool slashing attack action, which is great for a Theory toy. One thing to note about quality control is that this particular copy has a bent leg, meaning to stand straight it needs to stand with the leg outward. When it goes inward, it looks kinda lopsided. Although since we're not on level ground, it's kinda hard to show it off because everything's already tilted. So we only have two size comparisons for this theory, and it's with the previous theories. Here's the first one. Its tail and posability is better, but sculpt-wise, the new one is superior, as it is kinda taking a page out of the Hammond Collection, of course. But the superior theory is by far the Hammond Collection one, in everything except tail and eyes. Other than that, there is no reason to get the Extreme Damage theory if you already have the Hammond Collection one. We only got this one so that we have a new canvas to paint into the Dinosaur King Therizinosaurus in the future. Lucky him, he gets to keep his colors, huzzah! But let's push this Extreme Damage theory out of the way and talk about the real star of the show. Everyone who reviews this T-Rex constantly calls it the best Mattel T-Rex ever. And honestly, I don't think they're wrong to say that. After years upon years of every single T-Rex being based off of the Jurassic World T-Rex sculpt, it's nice that we're finally getting a brand new look for the T-Rex. Even if the changes are quite subtle, they are for the better. Oh, watch yourself there, pal. Starting with the change in the face, which looks similar to the original, but so much meaner compared to Rexy. The brow horns are more pronounced, there's a big scale at the bottom jaw, and in this lighting the eyes are completely hidden in shadows, which adds an extra intimidation factor. But when you open up the mouth, we come to a major problem. The tongue is fixed in the middle of the mouth. It is not posable, it is stuck like that. Which means it's just in the way when you're trying to bite down or swallow humans. Which honestly is worth docking a lot of points because that's really important for a T-Rex toy. But I can't stay mad at this face because look at that. It looks so angry at you. How can you hate it? I'm not sure how I feel about the osteoderms on the back. I'm not even sure if the final T-Rex in Rebirth actually has those osteoderms. But they're there, so we just gotta deal with them. It doesn't take away too much from the toy. Tail has no paint on it at all, which is to be expected. Legs look fine and proportionate, and there's an example of that new claw system. Instead of painting the claws, they can just make a completely separate piece of plastic. And while the fingers aren't painted, the arms are bulkier just like the rest of the Rex, and held in the correct position. But you can pose them outward to get that classic T-Rex look. Actually, no, it just turns them into a gangsta Rex. Head has a lot of range of motion, which is great for a T-Rex toy, especially considering that you can also open the mouth with a button on the back instead of the neck. So it's like, yeah, that's good. That's good that you can pose the head and still open the mouth from a button on the back. Legs are on a simple ratchet joint. Paint does not go down all the way. What do you expect? It's Mattel. Now, while I personally wouldn't say it's the greatest T-Rex toy, I will say it's a nice stand-in for a Rebirth Rex until they finally make one for the Hammond Collection. Especially considering this is one of the cheaper Rebirth toys in the line. Now it's time for some size comparisons while I jump down to harass some bees. First, let's compare with an extreme tomping T-Rex repainted to look like Terry. As this T-Rex is meant to replace the extreme chomping Rexes, they are relatively the same length, but the Rebirth Rex is clearly chunkier. And here's another example of just how mean this new T-Rex looks. Honestly, once a Hammond Collection comes out, Zainreborn might repaint this T-Rex into his new Terry. Cause while this Terry is nice, this sculpt would just fit him so much better, you know what I mean? But unfortunately, since it is a basic T-Rex toy, it's a lot smaller compared to the electronic ones. Which is kinda sad considering the Rebirth Rex is the biggest in the franchise and it's still smaller than our current Rex, which is like, we haven't even seen the Rex on the big screen and I'm already dying for a Hammond Collection version of the Rebirth Rex. And that concludes my review of the Lab Lockdown T-Rex and the Extreme Damage Theory. Are these worth adding to your collection? The theory, not really. If you have a Hammond Collection one, you don't need this one. We only got it because it was on sale and because we need it for a repaint. But for the Lab Lockdown, it's not as simple. If you want something as big as your other electronic Rexes, then obviously wait for the electronic version. But if you just want a Hammond Collection Rebirth Rex and you don't want to wait a few years before it finally arrives, then this is a nice stand-in until that day comes. But what do I know? I'm just a random lizard on the internet. Goodbye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video from beginning to end. If you want to see more, subscribe to the channel and join the Zainreborn community. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.